And although it may seem a little mundane, packing up boxes and, being on the assembly line, what we're really doing is putting in hundreds of hours into the people on the streets who need us. And they need us in a way that none of us will ever understand. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on the grounds every day. They know we're coming today, they know we're coming tomorrow, and they look forward to seeing us because we're the one little bit of hope that they have to have a warm meal in their bellies and to know that somebody in the world is actually caring for them and loving them. And without people like you showing up today to give your time, your energy, and your spirit, none of this is possible. So I want to really say thank you to everyone, because what we're doing here today may seem small, but it's actually really, really big, and it's impacting hundreds and thousands of families. So I thank you, I love you, I look forward to doing this with you today.
My name is Serena Buffalino, and I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. Help Heal Humanity is a charity that is focused on unconditional giving, love, and support to some of the most vulnerable communities in the world.
Good morning, everybody. This is Barbara J. Beckley, and you are in the right place if you're looking at me today, this morning on Friday. Every Friday at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, and I always tell people, please look up the other time zones. But those are the two main ones. We come on the Coaches Lounge with myself, Barbara Beckley, and some wonderful, amazing coaches, educators, and consultants. I created this show, and I always say this because my heart was going out to people that not only, you have your speakers, you have your authors, you have, everybody, celebrities, all that's doing it in the world. But I didn't feel like anybody was really paying attention or spotlighting coaches. And when you think about it, coaches are the ones that grind with you, the ones that hustle with you, the ones that give you the steps, the ones that support you and encourage you and tell you can do this and give you different ways of, changing things and tweaking things. And I was like, why are they not getting the spotlight they should? So I said, you know what? Instead of looking for a show like that and saying, okay, can I be on a show or can I ask my other people to come on the show? I created my own show. That's what you do. If you can't find nothing, you create, right? So this is what basically birthed the Coaches Lounge with myself. Now we have two amazing coaches coming on today. Usually I call my ladies, I call my queens. But we have a king, we have an emperor coming on, a legendary coach that's coming on today. And the phenomenal thing about Barry B. Mixon, he's not only just a coach, but I always say, he's royalty because he has his own TV streaming show. Yes, he does, called The Gym Hunter. It comes on every Wednesday, giving a plug out there, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. He's also the 21-22 global, and I mean global, educator of the year. He works with basically anybody that really wants to understand How do you story tell? How do you tell your story? How do you understand your value? And he does that really wonderful with gems. And I don't want to give away everything because I want him to come on and really explain who he is, what he does in life. And he's also a brother of mine. He's also a best friend of mine, and I love him dearly. And also, the biggest thing as we're celebrating today is Veterans Day. And he is a vet. He is a vet. He's a Marine vet and very proud of it. And I'm proud of him being and serving our country. So I thank you so much, Barry B. Mixon, for doing that. And he's going to come on first. But I always tell people I don't like to bring people on just ta-da, they're on the screen. So because he's royalty, right? We're royalty. I got the king and queens today. So after this one clip, we will be right back with Mr. Barry B. Mixon. Here we go. Hello, sir. Reporting for duty. I think you're on mute, sir.
Got it. All right, cool. The hard job, the hard part of the job. Waking up first and then getting off of mute. Yes. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. This is a delight for me to have you on my show. Usually, I'm always behind the scenes on Wednesday, but now you're on my show. So I'm like, yay.
I had to wake up and get my hair together. So thank you.
Well, everybody just let you know I call him Mr. B. But it's Mr. Barry B. Mixon. We'll make that clear for everybody. Like I said, he has been so wonderful in this world. He's a world changer. And Barry, with the show, like I said, this is a coaching lounge show, but it's also I interview educators and consultants. And I know you're a bit of everything. You're like you're like triple dipple threat here when it comes to helping people in their life. So, but before we start off, I would like to get just a little inkling of, how you became who you are now, this tremendous person in the world.
Okay. All right. Great question. Well, long story short, I'm from New York, Harlem, New York. I came to Chicago I joined the Marine Corps when I was literally 17. This is my 44th anniversary. I joined the Marine Corps in 1978. For those of you, yes, I'm old. Okay, yes, dinosaurs were part of my platoon. And I joined the Marine Corps, traveled the world, was in the Marine Corps for 14 years, went to college, things like this. And fast forward to 1992, I came to Chicago. I was homeless. And that was the worst day of my life, the worst period. I was homeless for a year. The worst year of my life. It was also the best year of my life because it was at that point I discovered this book called As a Man Thinketh. And I thought I was going to die. I didn't have friends, family. I was marooned here. I waited for death to happen. And from that experience came the whole concept of the importance of being able to tell a story. Because it wasn't, I had already gone to Marine Corps. I had 3 degrees, biology, chemistry, biochemistry, and yet I was homeless. And the thing that got me was when they looked at me, no one knew who I was. That guy on the street, that bum on the street, I never really begged for money. I just thought that was the lowest level for somebody. So I found other ways to try to make money, helping people. But what got me was that no one knew my story. And I made a promise to God that if I ever got out of homelessness, that I would spend the rest of my life helping people tell stories. And somewhere in that, I discovered gemology, the art and science of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. And I started putting that together, saying how we can value, if I say a ruby, here's a ruby, right? If I say a ruby up here, I always forget what side. If I say a ruby here, rubies, sapphires, emeralds, diamonds, everybody knows what that is because you understand the story of it. Someone told you a story. You didn't go to gemology school, but you learned that. So what if someone had that same story about you or about me? If someone said, oh my God, you know Barbara J. Beckley? Yeah, I know Barbara J. Oh my God, she's amazing. And the only difference, the similarities between the only difference between gemstones and us is that we know the stories of gemstones. We don't know our stories. So the company, my company is called the Gem Hunter, Gemological Appraisals and Storytelling Services, art, science, history, and magic. Because what I do is I help people discover the value of their own stories.
See, this is why I said that you're so awesome. And like you said, you found yours. And I always tell people, it always seems like it always starts with you. Mm-hmm. You know, anything that you're doing, it starts with you, understanding who you are. And then when you get to that point in time in your life, then that's when you can say, okay, now I go to the next level and help others. And that's one of the reasons why I like to bring on the coaching stuff, because I like to hear that story. I like to hear where you started from, because let people know you went through some things. You dealt with some things. This is not just, okay, I just want to help people. This is Barry B. Mixon dealt with some times in his life where it got to the point where he didn't probably even know when his last meal, he was homeless. And then from that point on to being a global educator. Come on now, a global educator, the man of excellence. I mean, I haven't even list. I mean, it would take me probably a whole nother hour to list all of the accolades that Barry B. Mixon has. But to come from that point to this point, wouldn't a person reach out to this individual and say, let me know how you did this. Let me know how you got from to and from that bridge. So saying all that, Barry, now I know you do, like I said, I know you do the appraisals. I know you do the gems and basically talk about the value, but you also teach children. That is so wonderful. Professor Barry, part of it. Give a little bit.
Well, from that, I literally got recruited into teaching by President Obama, Barack Obama. Not personally, he was literally looking at it was a State of the Union address, and they were trying to get more African American science teachers in the school system. I'll never forget 2011 State of the Union address, and he was looking at the screen, or maybe 2011, and he was looking at the screen. I'm in my home, and he's like, we remember the old, we need you in the United States Army. Well, he did one of those kind of things. I remember sitting in my living room looking back like, who was he talking to? And he looked back there, like, literally, President Obama looked at me like, you, I'm talking about you. So I got into the Chicago public school system. And the thing and because I was an older teacher, I started teaching when I was 51, 52. Most people started to talk about retiring. So here's this old dude in the classroom with these kids looking at me like, and I'm looking at them like, and I would give them a challenge. And I would say, if you could tell me 3 things that you can do in your life that doesn't have to do with science, you'll get an A. And they're like writing and everything else, putting it out there. To make a long story short, they couldn't come up with anything because everything is science. And that's when I began to understand the importance of storytelling in studying science, because you got to get kids to relate to it. So anything that they told me, I want to be a hairdresser, I want to be a basketball player, I want to be a singer, I want to be a dog, I can put it together with science. Nothing has value without a story. So what I do is I teach literally on Zoom and in person. It's such a hard job. Barbara, I had to go to France last month for a whole entire month to teach kids. Oh, it was terrible. You know, this is the point where I had my glass of wine and go, oh, it was terrible. It really was. But I teach because of the pandemic, and CPS decided to go, the whole world was going towards online teaching. I did it for a while, and then I said, well, wait a minute, I can do this myself. So now I have a business basically is attached to the Gem Hunter called Professor Barry's Science Emporium, where everything is science, using the tagline that the kids would tell me, Mr. Mixon, I know the answer. What's the answer? Everything is science. So that's where it works. And I literally teach in Asia, China, Shanghai and Beijing, India. I teach in Africa, a couple of students, and quite a few students in Europe, France, England, Spain, and then students in here. I want more students here in the United States because I wanted to combine them all together. So that's how I teach kids, and I get to keep my hair, and it's so much fun. Except waking up 4 o'clock in the morning for students that have 11, 12 hours difference, but it's fun hearing their stories and showing how their stories match up to whatever I'm talking about that day.
Now, I had the privilege of coming to one of your classes. Mm-hmm. I think it was on a Friday evening, like 9 or something.
Yeah, and they loved you. They loved you. The girls, the two girls, Abigail and Sarah. Yeah, and they're in Shanghai. No, Abigail is in Beijing and Sarah's in Shanghai. Yep.
Yes, and I had the privilege of coming to the class because I said, when you say, well, I'm teaching class right now, Barb, we could talk. And I said, you know what? Do you mind if I can come? It was like, all of a sudden I feel like that little kid again, like, Professor Barry, can I come in? And you were so, welcoming to say, no problem. You sent me the link. And I'm telling you now, it was an eye opener. And I know we talked about this before, Barry, many times about the difference between children outside of the United States compared to the children in the United States. And I'm not going in detail about that, but I just noticed that these two young ladies, and I call them young ladies, they were sprouting out some information from, how your bone structure, the different bones. And I'm saying, like, the only bone structure I know is probably the lungs and maybe the skull. And then I was like, oh my, and then they talk about the femur and all. I'm like, And then Barry, love Barry to death, but I was a student that day and he was testing me just with the other children.
So Barbara, what do you think? And Barbara's like, and the little girls, they're 10 years old. They're looking at you like, come on now, get the answer. I know the answer. And I had to calm them down. No. Let's let Miss Barbara answer. And Miss Barbara's like, no, let them answer. I'm like, no. You're in the class.
That was just hilarious to me. I was like, wow. I mean, by the time I was trying to think, they were like, bloop, 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 just coming out because they knew the answer. It was just that. So that just showed me right there, not so much of me being just so like, oh my God, no, don't know anything. It's the point that the awareness that you do in your classroom and you make the children feel so comfortable and they just love you to death. I mean, it's just a wonderful connection that you have with them and you're just teaching them things that is needed today. Like you said, everything is science, and I just want you to get a little bit, because you have a different flair of how you teach. Can you just give us just a little example of that?
Well, basically, the way I teach is it's all about a story. It's once you figure out. So let's say a child. I had one child that told me true story. His name is oh my God, I can't remember his name now. Just Julio. I think his name was Julio. Julio told me in the beginning when I first started teaching, Mr. Mixon, I don't believe in science. Okay, I'm sorry, not Julio. Jodiel, that was his name. Jodiel said, Mr. Mixon, I don't believe in science. I was like, okay, no problem. And he was like, you're not mad? I'm like, no, I'm not mad at all. And then I waited. Then the next week, I asked him, I said, what do you like? He said he likes soccer. Jodiel was just a very handsome young man, he knew he was a star. The girls went, oh my God, Jodiel. And he played soccer. And one day I saw him out there practicing. He was really, really good. The ball was doing all kinds of stuff. And I said, I'm 1,000 years old to him. I said, Jodiel, I can do that. He looked at me like, Mr. Mixer, you can't do this. You can't do it. I said, oh, what? All you do is just kick it. And then he's just like, Mr. Mixon, you gotta put your foot here. You gotta do this. I said, oh, you talking about physics, right? Oh no, but physics don't exist. That don't exist to you. And then I just kept doing that, showing how what he was doing was exactly what I was talking in the classroom about. And he hated school, according to him. He hated school. He sat in the back of the classroom, just didn't care. And one day he raised his hand and I was like, oh my God, class, Jodiel is raising his hand. We were talking about science projects and he didn't want to do it. I'm not doing a science fair. And I said, well, why don't you just do Mendeleev? He's the guy that created the periodic table. And Jodiel, we were talking about the periodic table. He raised his hand and he started giving the story of Mendeleev, because it related to him. He felt his story. Like Mendeleev he thought he was all that. The personalities just clicked through it, Jodiel. So Jodiel, I see Jodiel. I leave the school. He graduates. I see Jodiel maybe 4 years later on the bus stop, Chicago. I say, hey, Jodiel, I figure he's playing for the pros by now, at least semi-pros. He's like, oh, Mr. Mix, I ain't got time for that. So what do you mean you don't have time for that? Soccer was like religion for you. He says, well, in high school, I got into a program with MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Like, oh, you hear the horns blowing,
Yes.
and he's in that program. And I started crying. I mean, I literally, my eyes were watering. And he says, why are you crying? I said, do you remember what you told me in the beginning? That science didn't even exist, that it was fake, and now you're at the mecca of science.
Yes.
Yeah. So once you understand someone's story, and the same thing for adults, once you understand not only just your story, but the value of your story, who you are, why this is important, why you are important as a human being, the time that you spend here, how you can change the world, then I got them. Yes. It's no longer class. I don't teach 5 classes. I do 5 shows a day. That's what I would tell. I do 5 shows. I would never have attendance problems in my classrooms because they be sitting. I had one kid tell you real quick. Kid was sick. I mean, he's coughing, hacking out. I was just like, "Are you okay?" "No, I'm really sick." I said, "Why'd you come to school?" I wasn't gonna come, but it was Tuesday, and I remember today's your class, and I didn't want to miss out. And I'm like, "Thanks a lot."
Now that's saying a whole lot. When people are like so persistent, they're like, I'm going to come. I don't care if I'm sick. I don't care what happens. I had to be like almost dying not to come to Professor Barry's class.
Because he didn't know what I was going to say. He was like, he was excited about how his story was going to interact with whatever I was talking about that day, whether it be chemistry, whether it be biology, whether it be physics. He was just like, oh, it's kind of like being a guest star of a show and you just don't know who to get. Wonderama or Romper Room? Well, remember the old Romper Room in New York? They had Romper Room where the audience would pick a child. Remember Disney, the Musketeers? It was like that, where you just get picked out of the audience and you didn't know if today was your day. So he came to class. Got everybody sick, but you know.
Well, the thing that I love about what you do too, Bear, what you just mentioned, is that especially with children, that you pick something they like. That's how you really do them. And then you take that and you show them that everything is science, even with soccer, like you just did with him. And look at how he remembered all that. And then he went to what?
MIT.
Totally changed his life. That's what you call transformation. And that's what a lot of times, going back to coaching and everything, that's what coaches and educators and consultants do. They help you transform into something that they kind of know in their minds, that they see where you're going. A lot of times we know when we have like clients or children or whatever you're teaching, because sometimes we kind of know that little, I hate to say crystal ball, but maybe it is. But they don't know yet because they're still, trying to determine, figure out stuff, fight with themselves, all that kind of everything. And then you bring that out by showing them you already have it. We just got to just put what this is here, put it together. There you go. And that's what you did with
Jodiel. Yeah, I teach the 7 elements of storytelling. There's 7 elements to every story, whether it be music, a video, a movie, a commercial. Commercials are a little different because they're short, but the 7 elements of storytelling is sound, passion, the hero, the antagonist, which is the most important part of the story. You don't have a story without the antagonist. Awareness, transformation, and then sound again. And Barbara, I'm sure you'll put my email address if you want a copy of that, or maybe send me an email and I'll give you a copy of that. Because if you understand the 7 elements of storytelling, then you can. What I do is I match what part of this story that when they're telling me who they are, they're filling in those boxes. They're filling in those spots. So the people who have gone through hard times, the people who, homeless, people who can't pay their bills, all these other, that's the antagonist. That's the bad stuff. That's the thing that you have to overcome. Bad relationships, bad marriage. Then now, once you see your life as a story and you become a character in your own story and the director, you can change whatever way you want to change. You can create whatever story you want to create for children. it's easier because they believe in once upon a time. Their life is still stories all the time. And then with adults, we just got so old, we forgot about once upon a time. We forgot about the stories. But think about it. It's those stories that helped you become whoever you are. Barbara J. Beckley is this phenomenal television host, executive producer. But here's a story real quick. Barbara and I, when we first started, and Barbara asked me, Barry, can you come on a show every week? I'm like, every week, Barbara? What am I going to talk about every week? For how long? I think we started like with 15 minutes, and then it was like an hour, and I was just like, I get now I've been on. This is my 3rd year. So again, the story and my ex-wife was really funny. Here's the story. My ex-wife told me, "Oh my God, you talk so much. Oh Jesus, what do you? I mean, you're a fountain of useless information." That's what she told me. And I always say that story because I can just really, if she's on now, I can just say, thank you, honey. I truly appreciate that because she made me look at my own value. She made me look at my own story and say, yeah, you do talk a lot. What are you going to do with it? Voila.
Well, with that, you ended it really wonderful, and to the point where time is of the essence. I was like, "Dang, this is what happens every time I have guests. It's like the time just like." Whoop. But what I want to make sure, Barry, is first of all, thank you for your services. You're a vet, a Marine veteran at that.
Hoorah! Hoorah! Yes.
Thank you for serving our country, and thank you for bringing us so true big value in the world of people and understanding, helping us understand who we are through the value of our stories is very important. So I commend you for that. But I want to give you at least 30 seconds just to do some this last things that you might want to give to the audience. I want to take myself down and I'll be right back.
I think the most important thing that I want people to understand is that you are an important person. Whoever you are, whatever you are, right now in your life, you're bigger than that. You're bigger than that. I want you to understand that 30 years ago, I lived in a dumpster. 30 years ago, I had absolutely nothing. And now I'm traveling around the world. Nobody gave me anything. No one hooked me up. I didn't win the lottery, things of this. It's just that I changed my mindset. So your homework assignment, you're my student today. Your homework assignment is to take time to reflect in your life and to think about the things you've done, think about the things you want to do, think about the things you've accomplished in your life. Realize your value, discover your own value, and then put it together and create your own story. And you can do it. And I know you can because of an old ass guy. I'm sorry. If an old guy, old Marine like me can do it, you can do it well. You can do it as well. So I salute you for your journey. And thank you, Barbara, for having me on the show today.
Thank you. This has been, we talk all the time and everything, but I always wanted to bring you on the Coaches Lounge because you just give so much value. Thank you for taking the time this morning to come on. Like I said, I honor you. You are legendary.
Thank you.
And like I said, I'm going to put here one more time because some people be like, well, how can I contact Barry? Well, there you go. There's his email.
GemHunterStories@gmail.com. Please let me know. And again, let me know I get emails from all over the world. So let me know that you saw me at the Coaches Lounge with Barbara J. Beckley. There you go. So thank you so much for being a part. And happy Veterans Day. And yesterday was the Marine Corps' birthday. So Semper Fi to all your viewers of the Marines. And today is the greatest day in the world, Barbara. Real quick, on Veterans Day, you get to eat for free.
Oh. So you get to go on a tour today.
You get to go for us. I have a whole map. Like, okay, we're going to go to Applebee's. Okay, we're going here. And they all say it's so cool because you walk in, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And you're like, no problem. No problem.
You're like, okay, now where's the food? Well, you enjoy because you totally deserve it. And we will see you soon. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye. Au revoir.
When you do nothing, nothing happens. Best time to take action is now. This is the time to work on you and your business. So I've created a group, an online academy for professionals and entrepreneurs. Power Partners will help you to start helping yourself.
Helped me change my life and my business.
Not a Toastmasters, it's not a BNI, it's not any of these, but it is. So it's all this stuff in one place.
Get the results that you deserve right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen. See you in Power Partners.
Well, we are back. Wonderful, wonderful. Like I told you, I love interviewing the coaches and people that change people's lives. And especially, with Barry, he's teaching our youth. He's in their world. He's making sure that they understand, why it is so important for science. I wish I had it when I was younger. I mean, I took a science class. And it was just all about, okay, you got to, have this, you got to put, and I'm like, okay, this is boring. I was waiting to get out that class so fast, but I had to get a good grade so I could graduate. See, that was the only thing in my head is get the grade so I can graduate. And then my mother was in my head too. That's a whole different story. Because if I didn't get the grade, then that was I wouldn't be here talking to you today. Let's just say that, because I'd probably be dead. She probably would have killed me. and I didn't want that. So I was like, okay, let me just get this grade and move on. So thank you, Barry B. Mix, for coming on my show, and we'll bring him back. I always ask my coaches to come back and, we talk a little bit more, discuss some more things, see what he's doing in his world, because he's always busy. You already heard he just been to France just a few weeks ago. So we will bring him back on the show. Now we have another wonderful coach. This lady, oh my Alex, I've been waiting for her to come on the show for a while. And we are a part of another group with Holly. She basically is a coach for women for speaking. And me and Alex were a part of her group. And I met her through there. It's been maybe 1 year ago, maybe 1 or 2 years, because I've not been with Holly for 2 years. And we met through this group. And when I first seen her, she was just this light, I'm telling you. And ever since then, she's been shining in people's lives. She shines in my life. Every time I see her in the group, I just put a big smile, because she is helping so many people. She's empowering visionaries to embody the soulful impact and the enrich leaders that they were born to be. See, this is kind of similar about purpose and understanding, but she digs deep, as is being a coach. And I just want to really just first thank her for being on the show. I always want to do that first, because I don't want to forget, and I want people to know that I really appreciate them when they come on the Coaches Lounge. So with Alex, like I said before, I just can't just bring on royalty just like, ta-da. We have to make sure we do it right. So soon as this one clip plays, we will be having a conversation with Mrs. Alex. And here we go.
introduction. What an introduction. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you, Queen. I mean, you've been waiting for a minute, so I truly appreciate you being in the, like I said, the virtual room below. But, I was like, she's just sparkling. I love her background. She's just glowing, and that's what you do so many for others in life. So I thank you for your service of what you do for people and transforming them. And I know, like I said, I'd like to give the spotlight for coaches because you do a lot. You do a lot. You're in people's lives and you're helping them change and think of things. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara. And it was so amazing to listen to Barry and your interaction. It was just phenomenal. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. So now, lady, before, like I said, I always like to, before we start in telling about the different coaching that you do for people and what you do, is how you started, how, like, because I know it's just all of a sudden you popped up and it's like, this is, everything that you do amazing. So take us a little bit through, pull that curtain a little bit and let us know how you started in your coaching business.
Thank you, Barbara. So let's really, open the curtain a little bit and say, you might see me sparkling and maybe with this alternative look, but it wasn't always that way. And I started, believe it or not, and everyone says, oh, I can't believe you. So let's see if your audience believes me now. I come from a background in finance. Like you, Barbara, I needed the grade in economics. I had my dad voices in my head saying, you gotta do good. And I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to express myself, maybe fashion and jewelry. I was like, no. You'll be a poor artist. Do you want to be a poor artist? And I thought, do I want to be a poor artist? No, I'll follow daddy's voice and daddy's advice. And so I entered the world of finance, and it was so cold and so perfectionist and, and a man's world most of all. But I stayed in that world for 15 years and plus. Wow. And just performing, maybe putting on a nice suit. I wear extravagant suits compared to other suits. Still a suit, dark gray, blue, and just in that rat race of doing what you're expected to do, bringing home the money, being a good wife, a good mother. But deep down, I wasn't shining. Deep down, I was small, and I was always putting the men's world on a pedestal, whether it was a successful partner, my dad, the investment banking was all men. I always thought they're better than me. So it's not something they were doing. We hear a lot of the patriarchy and how this it's a world ruled by men, but I was doing this to myself. I was saying they're better than me. And therefore, what chance did I get, right? I was really playing it small until the universe that says, whispers. And at some point, when you're not in your path and when you're not feeling satisfied and gratified, the universe really bang on your door. And for me, that bang wasn't a very, I'm not going to say gratifying one. It was really a shock. It was really shocking. And through a series, it's a long story. I don't want to go into that story, but I became a widow. And all of a sudden, here I am with my world with no man, right? So I used to have men on my pedestal all the time. And now that man is gone. So what does Alex do? I was alone. I was alone with two young kids. Who could I put on the pedestal? No one else. So I decided, through grieving and mourning and meditation and all the tools, what do I want to do? And I knew for sure I didn't want to stay in the investment banking sectors. I didn't want to go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, come back the next day, maybe exhausted, and don't see my kids. And so I started to really reflect and meditate and activate all the tools, the skills, my passion, my purpose, all of the things you teach, Barbara, to do something else. And this is how, little by little, again, the universe provided those breadcrumbs of, oh, you're good at teaching meditation. You're a good teacher. You're good at supporting others. Oh, you're very good psychic. What can you do? And I trained as a business coach, and then I married the two together, and BreathingHeart was found.
Yes, thank you. I was going to say, and the birth of the BreathingHeart was birthed out. See, exactly. And you see how it was birthed. See, I just want to let people know, see how it was birthed out from. your story of what you brought, what you were going through, the different ordeals that you went through. And then you kept saying to yourself, you know, I'm doing all this, like the finance and stuff, but it's not me. I knew it didn't fit. It was like, this is not fitting for me. This will feel right. And I'm glad that you got out of that and said, no, this is who I'm really supposed to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I followed that call a bit earlier.
Yeah.
What would have happened?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't be having you on the show. I wouldn't be knowing you how amazing and spectacular you are, how you help so many people. And then that would have been like, I'd have been sad. So I'm glad that you took that road sometime. And, you know, I want to ask you this question too, Alice, because a lot of people deal with this. Now, you just said that, you know, like you said, you went through that course of your life where, you know, you thought that you were in a particular, you know, what you were doing in the finances. And you're like, okay, well, 15 years, that's a long time. That's a long time. And then to say that and still after all that and say, this is just not fitting for me. And then, you know, after losing your husband, and I'm so sorry about that, that's a whole nother thing that came down on you because you were used to, you know, that was your world right there. And then all of a sudden that's gone. So now what do you do? Plus you're, like you said, you're doing something that you're really not liking. So what would you tell people in that, you know, because a lot of people are dealing with that too. What would you tell them to do? What kind of steps would you tell them to take?
Well, the first thing is to give yourself permission. And again, especially as a woman, I think as a woman, we're very much conditioned, or at least I was, to follow the road that was crafted, the road that looked like the most successful, right? And to stop yourself and say, am I happy? Am I really happy? Am I feeling fulfilled? And it's a term that I never used to ask myself, because in the world of finance, you don't ask yourself if you're fulfilled. You ask, am I making money? Yes or no? Do I have a job? Yes or no? Am I feeling fulfilled? Never crossed anybody's mind in the world of finance. But when you start to feel that out in your stomach, at least you know that's not fulfillment. That's not satisfaction. That's not joy. That's not, I want to wake up and go to work in the morning because I know I'm going to do something for me and for others. And I think this is one of the secret of life. I know all of the coaches that come here, this is the perfect platform to really feel the joy of helping others. Because if you do something for yourself only, yes, it's great. It's not going to light your fire inside. It's not going to light that spark that lasts no matter what happens during the day. Is it a cloudy day, a rainy day, your kids are complaining, the clients are not showing up? Right? So that's what was happening in the world of finance. You trade something at the wrong price, you're done. Your boss is shouting at you, they're screaming at you, you feel you've done something totally wrong. Am I going to lose my job? Oh my God. But when you're helping others, even on a rainy day, you say, okay, you know, what's the bigger picture here? I call it the betterment of the world. You're here to better the world. And so when that becomes your GPS, it's going to provide a whole new level of satisfaction. So for all of you that feels there's something inside, and remember for me, I knew I wasn't happy, but I had no clue what would make me happy, what would bring me fulfillment. At the beginning, I really had no idea. And if you told me you're going to birth your own business, I would have said, you're crazy. So much so because my husband had a business, and I said, I'm not a businesswoman. How can he do that? Again, I was looking at him thinking, how can he do that? And I was saying all along, I'm not a businesswoman. Guess how much self-development work I had to do to then unravel all of that story. It was so you know, it took a lot of unraveling. So if somebody's feeling slightly, there's something that is not right here, don't put it under the rug. Don't put your head in the sand, and instead say, okay, that's not working. I'm going to tell myself and give myself permission to say, this is not working. And you're going to call in faith or the divine or the universe and say, I know there is something that it's really good for me. And I say to all of my clients, I've seen them all the time, you are sitting on a treasure, not on somebody's treasure working for someone else. You are sitting on your own treasure. What is your treasure?
Yeah.
And together we uncover it and we make it shine, and it starts to attract what you really want in your life. And also, I would say you don't have to do it alone. Because in my days, when I was in the world of finance, I say if a redheaded woman walked in the floor and said, "You look different. There's something that you can do with your life rather than sitting here." Oh my God, that would have been such a blessing. Such a blessing, right? And so I want to be that woman. I want to be that woman that flashes across your screen, across the street, that says, "You are sitting on a treasure. Let me help you uncover that treasure."
Oh, sometimes I tell people just sit and pause and just think about what this queen just said about, understanding your treasure, understanding who you are, because it's so important. And like you said, you only really, well, some people believe in life after whatever, but let's just say this life right now, live your best life and live who you are. And I think that's what we, say as coaches and talking to clients is it's so important to do that. Because like you said, I know I was miserable and I understand with you what you're talking about when you say you're somewhere and you're like, okay, I'm going through day to day with this, but technically I'm not really liking this is what I thought. And I was in the same boat. And, I had to say to myself, okay, Barbara, either you're going to stay here and complain, which I hate that, or you're going to do something about it. And that's what you did. And that's what I love. You took the other road. And I think we all come to that road. It's either you're going to take the road and say, you know what, I'm going to go this route and try something different, something that's really elevating in my life, or I'm just going to stay here and keep complaining until whatever. And the one about the complaint doesn't sound too appealing. It really doesn't.
So I love this, Barbara, because I really like this crossroad, right? And I always say to people, you have a choice. Take the high road where you're going to do something else with your life. And yes, you're going to have to do things, right? You're going to invest in yourself. You're going to probably retrain. You're going to do a lot of development. You're going to get to something truly amazing. Or you stay where you are, but don't complain. Because if you stay where you are and you say, okay, I'm going to stay here forever. It's a mediocre life, but I accept it. It's a choice. It's your choice. But if you stay in the mediocre life and you complain and you whine and you give responsibility to others, that's the road to self-destruction. Nobody tells you that's the road to self-destruction. And people don't like to hear it, but that's the truth, right? We don't sugarcoat it in my world. So you have the choice. I know many women that are in this rat race and they complain and my boss, and I said, you're choosing it. You are choosing it. You prioritize getting a salary at the end of the month. That's fine. But don't complain and wonder, am I going to be fired every 3 months? Can you imagine living with the weight of thinking, am I going to be fired every 3 months? Work 24/7, not for yourself. Sometimes I work 24/7. I do it with passion. I'm so excited on my computer. I know I'm offering something. I'm amazing in the next day. But when you work for someone else because they put a deadline that you cannot meet, or you think I'm going to get fired, your health at some point is gonna drop. It's gonna drop. So be aware, take responsibility, right? You're a queen, kings, gods, goddesses. You gotta step up. And whatever way you choose, it's fine. But that both comes with, responsibilities and consequences. So choose the one that is best for you.
Yes. Ooh, queen. Now, I want to get just before, because again, with the time, I hate this. I think I had to bring people on for like 45 minutes. Forget the half an hour, 20 minutes. It's not working. But just as a side note for me. But the breathing heart. Now, I love the 3 M's that you have. Your 3 M's?
My 3 M's?
Yeah.
Yes.
Magic, manifesting, and miracles.
Yes.
And I love how you have that. So can you just give us a little taste with the breathing heart and what you do for others in that capacity?
Sure. Well, it's really a combination of magic, manifesting, and bringing in the money by doing what is it that you want to do, express, and being richly rewarded. This is why I said I'm here to embody you become the soulful, impactful, rich leader that you came here to be. And we do this through many tools. So there is all the practical tools, because I kept a 15 years experience, right? I wasn't going to be silly and put it down the drain and say, okay, let's just be mystical, right? And manifesting, dancing naked under the moonlight. You can do that on your own time. But when we work together, we really work on the practical side of how do you go from being employed to launching your own successful spiritual, i.e., doing something good for the world, right? Mm-hmm. And online. How do we do that? So we keep all the practical things, and then we bring what I call the mystical tools, which is going deep. You mentioned it at the beginning. You know, there's a lot of energy work that it's involved. There's a lot of guidance, activations. I'm a psychic. So when you are at the crossroad in your business, it's a little bit easier when you know what's waiting for you at the end of each road. And so you bring this into a mix, and it really helps people to have clarity on what is my treasure, right? This is your treasure. Now, how do we activate this treasure so you can offer something online, be richly rewarded, and for you to really love who you are, your business, and love others. So it truly becomes a relationship of love.
Well, I just love you. just let you know, I just love you. And like I said, I know I've been waiting for you to come on the show, and this is like, yes, you made my whole month. You made my whole month, Alex.
Thank you.
And like I said, you know, I always tell people, always look around your life. When you're drawn to people, you see people's light, go towards that, because you never know how that's going to shape your own life. And like I said, with Alex, I told you before, we met through a whole different, platform. And we've been knowing each other for a year. I can't believe this. I was like, dang, Alex, we've been knowing each other for a while.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
And I'm always learning from her, growing from her, seeing what she's doing in her business and the Breathing Heart, and how she's helping so many people. And she's, and I'm just letting you know, I watch you, and I'm learning from you, and I've changed and tweaked some things in my own business because of you. Yes. And see, that's when queens come together, royalty comes together, because I call lady queens all the time. And then we learn from each other and grow. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Not the competition, all that. People get all caught up in that stuff, and then you lose out on meeting individuals that can help you and guide you in your life. So Thank you for being a world changer, Alex, in people's lives and what you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, what I want to do, I want to make sure, because any last thoughts for you, I want to take myself down for just 30 seconds. And I want you just to, anything that you want to give us, and then I'll come back up and we'll close out.
Thank you. All right, gorgeous souls. I hope this was very, 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 very informative for you. For those of you that decide, yes, I want to unleash my treasure, I really want to grow and expand and shine my light and bring betterment to this world, what you want to do is really to grow yourself, to grow your business. Because remember, your business will never outgrow you. So you step in, you step up, and you let the world grow. Sending you so, so, so much love. Thank you for watching.
Wow. How can you not just, that's just like, I don't have nothing else to say. There's nothing to say. Sometimes you just say, okay, they said it. It's awesome. Shut up, Barbara. Well, thank you, Alex. We'll have to bring you on again, lady. And again, one more time, I just want to flash her website down there, the Breathing Heart. And this lady, I forgot to say too, this is global. She's in the UK.
Yes.
I'm global. So that I said, I'm in the global atmosphere. So please reach out to her if you know somebody that needs her services. And if it might not be you, but you might know somebody else. So don't stop with just you. I always tell people, you never know in your tribe who needs, you need this queen to help you and guide you. And
don't be shy.
Don't be shy. And if you're saying, well, Barbara, you flashed that her website, I couldn't see it. Well, reach me, because I can reach out to her. So there's no excuse not to get to Alex.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
You too. And we'll see you soon.